Cool. All right. Hello and welcome to the Fresno City Toastmasters Club. I am your current acting president, Joey Myers. So I want to welcome those that are watching this on YouTube. What we like to do before we get started is to, for those that have the agenda, look on the bottom left corner is our mission statement. We like to read that. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. For those here that attend these meetings pretty often know that always like to underline supportive and positive learning experience. And for those that are absolutely terrified of public speaking, you can feel comfortable coming here and working on those skills and making those better from whatever background you're coming from, whether you're an employee and you want to get a raise, or you're a business owner and you want to make more contacts and connections, things like that. Toastmasters is the place to be. Club business, I think for right now, we were going to meet, our executive board was going to meet the other day, but we had one of our members become ill, so then we had to reschedule that. But we wanted to talk about an open house that we were scheduling or attempting to schedule. I think November is like the week before, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. What was that, the 17th, Sarah? Is that what we said, Denny? 17th November, something like that?
Somewhere around in there.
Somewhere around there. So the week before, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, doing an open house. 15th, okay, 15th, November 15th, put that down. November 15th, and we're looking to do an open house where we'll have guests come and everything will be provided, food, drinks, things like that. And we are currently over at the Mug, which is on 1137 East Champlain Drive in Fresno, 93720 zip code, and it is on the Champlain Perrin in the SaveMart shopping center area, down kind of corner of where Bobby Salazar is. And so we're going to do an open house, or we're going to put together the makings of an open house next week when the board meets. Other than that, board members, anything else for business?
No.
No questions, comments? Good. All right, with that, we'll move on to our theme of today. Now, this was a little bit of a surprise for some, probably more of an icky surprise for others. But the theme today is Exascale Day. Now, just looking at that word, yeah, Denny gave me the crunch forehead look. What it is this day celebrates people who make scientific discoveries. So number one, so if we want to make it simple, scientific discoveries, but this particular day is scientific discoveries with the fastest supercomputers in the world. So this is of interest to me. I'm more of a techie type guy, so this gets me excited. But we can also focus on just the scientific discoveries as well. For those that, Corinne and I were talking before, that it could be penicillin, when we found penicillin, just different discoveries throughout history that we can talk on if we want to bring up, theme our table topics or whatever. And what's interesting about this date, so this date is picked for a reason, 10/18, October 18th. What it does is it pays homage to systems capable of computing 10 to the 18th power calculations per second. So 10/18 is for a reason. I like those kind of things. I like when numbers add up and they have meaning and things like that. So Exascale Day, so celebrating people who make scientific discoveries with fastest supercomputers in the world. But we can also, if that doesn't interest you, just scientific discoveries is cool too. And with that, the theme of the day, I will turn the table over to Ms. Danny Mason, who is our general evaluator of the day. Danny?
I'm gonna need some help here.
Hi, Sarah, and everyone at YouTube land. I'm going to be your general evaluator today. We have several rules that we use to evaluate our progress, our speeches, our language, our mistakes, and it's all done in fun, but with a purpose. Our first is going to be our grammarian, who is Sarah.
Yay. Hi, everyone. All right. So word of the day is a tone. It has nothing to do with Exascale because I had no idea how to make a word that goes with it. So we're just going to say a tone. And the definition of it is it's usually used with to mean to make amends, to provide or serve as reparation or compensation. So it's usually used with the word for, but is to make amends, to provide, or serve as reparation or compensation. And the sentence is, James tried to atone for the wrongdoings of his youth by devoting his life to helping others. So we always try to learn new words in order to expand our vocabulary and use things that we might not normally use. And so if you're able to use it today, that would be awesome. And I'll keep track. And back to you, Denny.
Very good, Sarah. Thank you. Next is our ah counter, and I'm going to be counting ahs and ums today. That means every time somebody speaks, I'm going to be watching, counting, writing down. If you use an ah, an or a filler word or anything like that, and I'll report at the end. And following that is Joey as our timer.
Thank you, Miss Denny. And this one, times of people who have, or in our meetings, know that I have to atone for me going overtime a lot of times. So we have a timer on the team, and the timer's report, what I will be doing is for Corinne today, he's got his icebreaker speech, his first speech, which is a 4 to 6 minute speech, and that will be 4 to 6 minutes. So he'll get green at 4 minutes. This is, people will look at this, it's plastic, you can see the shine and sheen on it and things like that. This is actually was $130 item when we had to buy it. And when Corinne gets to 5 minutes, he'll see this yellow red. So he's gonna have to ignore the red and just gonna have to see the yellow. And at 6 minutes, he'll get red. And I say that because $130 later, and it's not working as well as we hoped for $130. But that's what we'll be doing for Corinne's speech, 4 to 6. When we do table topics, it will be 1 to 2 minutes. So 1 green, 130 will be yellow, and then 1 or 2 minutes will be red. And then evaluation, which I'll be doing for Corinne's speech, will be a 2 to 3 minute. So 2 green, 2.5 yellow, and then the 3 will be red. And maybe we'll have maybe Danny do that for me, or maybe I can do it myself, something like that. We are a skeleton crew today. We have 4 of us here, so you'll see many of us in many different roles as we go. But that's what I'll be doing on the timer today.
Great, and you're the Toastmaster, so we're going to let you continue on and introduce our speaker.
Okay, thank you, Miss Denny. So I am the Toastmaster, as Denny said, of the day, and Denny, I think, took my pen. I'll have to grab another one. She took my pen. I was going to have to evaluate our speaker, so I want to make sure I had a fire stick ready. So I get the pleasure and the honor to introduce Corinne, who is giving his first speech, which is his icebreaker. And Corinne is a really good friend of mine. We met probably 5 years, 4th grade, right? Our oldest boys in 4th grade. So 5 years ago, kindergarten. And been friends for 5 years. And the mug, we have our weekly meetings where we get to talk about things that our wives maybe don't want to hear, or some of our friends don't want to hear. So we meet, we talk. So I'm really excited finally that Corinne has joined us.
It's not what you think.
It's not what you think. So I'm really excited to have Corinne join us at Toastmasters as an official member, and he's going to give his first speech. So come on up, Mr. Corinne Katenjian.
Thank you. Thank you, Joey. My name is Corinne Katenjian, and I'm a local attorney in Fresno. Today, I'm going to introduce myself. So this is a presentation of my autobiography in a nutshell. I was born in a stormy winter night in the capital of Armenia, in the city of Yerevan. And that day, my mom had a glass of red wine. She didn't expect me so soon. So until now, I wouldn't say no to a good glass of Bordeaux. And she never atoned for it. But Yerevan is 30 years older than Rome, the capital where I was born. It's an ancient city, contemporary of Babylon. From our balconies in Yerevan, the apartment balconies, we could see the Mount of Ararat, upon which Noah's Ark descended after the flood receded. I have an artist, modern artist rendition of Mount Ararat. So I want you to really have a picture where at night I would have approximately the contours or outlines of that mountain from the balcony. My early years were in Armenia, early primary, secondary, high school education, college years were all in Armenia. I mostly studied in Russian, but there were accentuation in English and Armenian in some disciplines. I graduated from the Foreign Language Institute in Armenia, now it's called the university, with degrees in English as a foreign language, Russian as a second language, and literature. So in our country, the title of the occupation I had was philologist. I was a philologist. I didn't graduate with high honors because of my political views. It was still the Soviet Union, and they didn't really give me that pleasure. So they just gave me a 1B, and they said that's the most graceful, decent solution for you. After that, I went to a faraway village in Armenia to teach kids from the 4th to 10th grades. I was a village teacher, and basically you would have a knee-deep snow in wintertime, and one day I survived a pack of wolves and ran all the way to the lineup at 8 o'clock. Before I immigrated, I also taught English at a college level for hotel administrators. So when I came to the United States, I realized everybody speaks English and nobody speaks Russian. So I started thinking about my future career, because language is language, a career is a career. I was swimming in a pool in my uncle's house, and then a friend of a family came and said, "Are you going to swim away your destiny?" I said, "No." "Then you should become a lawyer," he said, "with your intelligence." I said, "I never wanted to be a lawyer," but I said, well, what the heck, I'll try it. So I took the exam, went through some work in college, took the bar, and became a lawyer. And I didn't know what to do with my degree and my license, but then somebody hired me in a work comp office, so I became a workers' compensation attorney. Trials, conferences, hearings, representation. I served the community for 30 years as a lawyer. One time, a defense attorney asked me if I got $500,000 for my client during his life, am I going to order to kill him so that I can get the death benefit? So I met a lot of interesting people while practicing law, and eventually I'm happy where I am with it. I also had the pleasure of teaching or instructing Russian at Fresno State. So somehow my degrees then helped me. My hobbies are usually talking to my friends, politics, every Friday at the mug, and history. History was always my passion. And I never regret anything I went through in my life. And I'm just going to tell you, there is hope after hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perrin. Thank you, sir, for sharing such great things, and I will save some of my comments for the actual evaluation itself. So we'll wait on that, leave you in mystery and curiosity. Now with that, let's move over to our table topic portion of the meeting, and that is Miss Sarah Dawson, right?
Yeah.
Yep, Sarah, go ahead.
Okay. So the question of the day, so you can have two, you can choose two or choose one or both. So if you had to make, if you had to name the best invention or science discovery, what is it and why do you think that? So if you had to look back in history and say the best invention or the best science discovery ever made, what would it be and why? And number two, do you consider yourself a scientific person? And if so, in what way do you say that? Who would like to go first?
Me.
All right.
Correct.
Okay.
Fired up.
Right away. Strike while the iron's hot.
I'm not a scientific person, so I was discussing the subject with Joey. I just was looking at him horrified by saying, "Why did you pick it up?" But the best discovery in the world was the discovery that wasn't a discovery. That is the discovery of Americas by Columbus. I do think that humans, by their nature, are explorers. So for me, science is about exploring. Although he didn't know what he discovered, but does it matter? Basically, exploration is the main reason why we develop as human beings. My son was 3 years old and he was asking all the time about black holes, and then there were white holes we discovered and everything else. And he said, "What will happen if you enter one?" I said, "I can't really answer you that question until I enter. So therefore, let's not be afraid of exploration. Let's enter, open all of the doors. I love science as long as it's exploring, explorative, and gives me freedom." Thank you.
That is so awesome, Karen. Thanks. I love adventure and exploring too. So I'm with you on that one. I think it's awesome to see new things. And one of my absolute favorite things in the world is to be able to take people to see or do things that they've never seen or done before. So taking people to Yosemite who's never gone, or taking them on a hike, pushing them to the limits. I love that kind of stuff. So
Jumping out of an airplane, we talked about last time.
yeah,
Nell.
nice. Well, awesome. Who would like to go next?
I can go.
All right, go Joey.
Do you want to use my watch, or you got your?
Okay, sure.
Do you want to use my watch? Chanel didn't like my watch.
No.
She thought it was too much of a old thing, so she's. She thought it was an old fogey watch, I guess.
I like that.
Well, it's too confusing. There's too many buttons and all that. If you just, use your phone, it's so much easier. Right?
No, versus the new gaming systems now. Right? No, Sarah didn't get that joke. The Nintendo, how you had little buttons, not a lot of
Oh.
buttons, and now there's like
Oh.
tons on the remotes.
Oh yeah, they used to have it simple, and so that's how I would win. I was just like, okay, let's press them really, really fast and hope I get them right. I would really win.
Great,
That's how I played.
great topic for Exascale Day. So to talk about some of Sarah's on her topics, I guess with the science, what I love about science is the process, and we can't take science as truth. We have to question it. And I think that's the biggest thing that we've really gotten confused over the last couple of years, is to trust the science, trust the science, trust the science. Well, science is supposed to be questioned, not trusted. And my favorite, the whole process of scientific method, and this is where I've applied it to baseball, softball hitters, and how what I teach to my hitters, I've used this process. And it's a simple process. The first step of a 5-step process in the scientific method is you ask a question. So it's a question that you just think, I wonder what causes ants to find food? How do they figure out that there's food? How do you do that? So you ask a question, and then you will develop a hypothesis. A hypothesis is just, I think those ants, the way they find the food is there's a certain thing that emits from the food that's as it starts to decay or whatnot, or it could be a bug that's died and they're coming into, or whatever, it emits something. And those ants have they can figure out what that is, and that's what leads them to it. It's like a scent, right? So that would be my hypothesis. And then the third step is data or research. So you go in and you do some research and you start looking at ants and how they act and how they interact and what do they eat for food and things like that. And then once you get your research, then you collect the data. So as you're doing your research, you maybe do an experiment or two and test a couple theories and hypotheses and see what happens when the ants, and again, this is something that goes beyond me, but it would be a question I would use. And then you kind of think about what would cause ants to find food. And then at the end, you develop a conclusion. So that's the fifth thing. So you got question, hypothesis. So question, hypothesis, you answer that question, or you think it is. You collect the data or the research, you collect the data doing the actual experiment, and then you form a conclusion. And I think if we can do that a little bit more these days, I think that will make everybody a little bit more curious. And when we are more curious, we're more apt to learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. It took me back to 6th grade and those little boards that we had to make and the little experiments we had to do. I don't know if everybody else had to do those.
Boards, yeah.
Yep. Do you remember what yours was?
I do. It was the first 6, I was in the 6th grade. And it's funny because my son in 4th grade, I don't know if Ruben's doing this, but they have a science project and they can choose to do it or not do it. And my son was like, I don't know. And I said, let's do it. And let's do it just based off of what you think the bouncy balls, which ones bounce the highest. And we could pick a racquetball, we could pick a tennis ball, a basketball, type of thing. And then we could do this. And I was kind of explaining it to him. So mine was a hitting one. So when I was 6th grade, I loved baseball. And it was between a wood bat and metal bat to see which one could hit the ball the farthest. And I knew the aluminum bat would. And it was funny, the archaic ways that we tried to measure. It wasn't we didn't take an actual measuring thing. We used our feet. So we had my buddy and I, who probably had a size in 6th grade, about a size 10 or 11, and I was a size 8. And we were measuring off with 2 different shoe sizes. So that shows you how accurate probably our experiment was. And so anyway, it was a learning experience. We ended up getting C on the project because of those inaccurate measuring things. But at least we did it, whether it was good or not. We learned, lived and learned.
I was kind of disappointed because now I think in my mindset now there are so many things I'm like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that, but then I just picked one of the generic ones that they had for us, and that was which paper towel would soak up more water. So
see, as simple as that.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yep. All right, Denny, would you like to go?
Sure.
Yay.
I had to think about this one just a little bit, Sarah. And that's because I come from a family of musicians. That means my brain, while I'll try to understand scientific things, I probably get there in a different way. I'm always looking at life in an artistic way. And I know the scientists do too, but their method of their process is a little bit different. So I'll find something that I want to know something about, and then I rely on some intuition as to where that takes me. I'm trying to think of an example of that exactly, but for instance, when I got into photography, I know what I like to see, and then I have to figure out how to produce that. And so it's more of a backwards process for me. And it also involves talking to everybody I can find that sees it the same way that I do. How did you get there? What did you do? So my whole process is communicating a little bit more, and I'm probably annoying to some people. I'm doing that even right now in a political process, which I'll talk to you more about after the meeting. I'm busy making a lot of phone calls and saying, do you have time? Because I need to talk to you about this. Yeah, I have questions in my mind that need to be answered. So I rely a great deal on my intuition for my scientific process.
Awesome. Thanks, Denny.
Jenny. Jenny is running for office, so.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome,
You have to
Denny.
ask her about
Yep,
all
it's very real.
the advertising she's doing.
Oh.
I know. But you understand what I'm saying.
All right, I think we got everybody. Sarah, did you want to?
Yeah, I'll go. I would like to answer a question. I think probably the scientific discovery or invention that I think is the most amazing is being able to, like, human powered flight, being able to do that on our own, not just watching it from the air. to me, every time I get up in the air and I just get to look down from up there and I am just always so amazed. It's so beautiful, and thousands of years people wanted to do that, and it's only been within the last little over 100 years that we've actually been able to take flight and be able to soar up in the sky like the eagles. And I just think it's the neatest thing. Like one of my dreams, or there's a question that I usually ask people, like, if you could do anything, didn't matter if it was realistic or not, what would you do? And so mine is like being able to bounce up and down and jump up and down on the clouds, because I just think that'd be so cool. So maybe that'll happen someday, but not yet. I mean, I know you'd fall right through them realistically, but it's a dream. but I'm just so fascinated by flight and being able to be up there. So that is my favorite invention or favorite scientific discovery.
Hey, you never know. Maybe they do shoes where, you have animals or lizards that can run on water, right?
That's true.
They have
Oh,
shoes or something, right? Shoes or something. You could bounce on those clouds.
well, so when I was a flight attendant for a while, and one of the things, so I got to sit up in the cockpit, and we were going through the clouds, and so all of a sudden it looked like you were going to run into it, and then you get in there, and then it just looks like it just kind of like really fast passes you by, and then you pop out on the other side, and it's all clear and bright right before you hit the other cloud, and it's just amazing.
Interesting.
So I think I'm gonna actually, yeah. So I think I'll turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, great table topics. I know that was more of we didn't know what to expect from, or you guys didn't know what to expect from the Exascale day thing. And I think it turned out pretty well. And that was more of a late minute, okay, now I know what it means. Let's put it together. So everybody's obviously going to get a little clap for that at the end of today. So thank you, Sarah, for that table topics. And with that, I think I'll move on to the evaluation, Corinne's evaluation. So I'm going to give this back to Denny. There's that. I'll give it back my watch again. Let's see, there. All right, we ready? All right, Mr. Corinne. Great first speech, as always, and a lot of those stories I've heard, and I've heard in more depth. And there's going to be a lot of opportunity. People got to hear of more speeches that you can give out of that. You talked about almost being eaten by wolves, which raises eyebrows. You want to hear that story. And there were some other ones in there that I've heard. So I've heard that story, which is a really good one, that in upcoming speeches, you can just go deep dive into those. So there was a lot of really cool, you did the autobiography in a nutshell, which was great. You started off with that. So that tells the audience that you're going to be going kind of chronologically and catching people up to speed to where we are now. And we did talk about that as he talked about mentor. We do mentorships here at Toastmasters. And so if you come in brand new and you feel like you connect with somebody in the club and they can mentor you and how to get speeches and things like that. And so he asked me, well, what should I talk about? And that was one of the things you can chronologically go through your life. So I thought that was great. A lot of the good things that Corinne did, and now he's spoken before. As he mentioned, he's a workers' compensation attorney. So he talks in front of a jury and he does different things that are in front of a judge and the other side and all that kind of thing. So he does a lot of talking. He's very comfortable up here. I don't know if he felt that way internally, but he looks that way when he's speaking. He's not real rushed speaking. It's not like this. And, sometimes our members come in and it's tough to speak for the first time if you aren't used to it. So
I'm afraid to miss the tone, and I put it in the right spot.
Right. He wanted to work in the word of the day. He wanted to work in the word of the day. And that's tough too. You can do that. Kudos for you if you can take that and work that into your speech. He used humor. He used some humor in there, here and there. And a lot of it was in some of those, well, I got eaten by wolves. And it's kind of like a backhanded humor type thing to get us laughing, but also curious about hearing, okay, how'd that happen? Body language, he used his hands very well up here. I was watching his hand movement. He, as he talked about in his speech, has a historical, he loves history. That's one of his things. And he gave some historical context to some of that autobiography in a nutshell, which is really cool to hear. And then, gave nuggets that may give curiosity for future speeches to go more of a deep dive. Now, a couple things to work on, and we're doing double duty here with a hybrid meeting. So we have the live version, but we also have Sarah sitting here and you on YouTube that maybe you're watching this, and a little bit more eye contact with the live audience. I know it's tough talking to Sarah, and I'm sure Sarah would love a one-on-one audience as she's sitting there and she's listening and things like that. And you did look, but maybe just a little bit more of working the crowd. When we did this just purely live, it was easier because you had to do this. And sometimes people would just address one side, and we have to tell them, make sure we get Denny in this too, because she wants to hear how the story's going. But now we have a third dimension to this whole thing. So not just that side, but now we have that side right there, the camera. So just working in a little bit more of that. Hands hitting thighs. So just a little bit of noise. So it's okay when you're using your hands, and then when they come down, being more quiet with them, like controlling when they come down instead of talking and this kind of thing. And now I'm being a little bit more picky because I know you're better at this public speaking thing. And I've heard when we did our speaking in front of the school board with the ring, doing this sometimes, right? So just some of those things that can take away from the speech and be distracting. And then, so this is where this third dimension comes in, adjusting the computer camera so you fill the box better. So me here filling the screen, just like you can see up there, versus being down here and me talking, which is good because you're stepping away. So from a live version of it, this is great because we actually want you moving around when we're on our live version, moving around, doing that kind of thing. But unfortunately for our digital viewers like Sarah, when we start to shrink away or I start to come over here, see you, Sarah. So she can hear me, but she can't see me. So we have to almost operate when we're in a hybrid. We have to operate within this box somehow. So we can move around, but we also have to be a little looking at Sarah and considering that. But being picky, because I know you like being pushed and you're a little bit better at this public speaking thing. But other than that, I think great speech, and I can't wait for. I know I'm sure there's going to be some new stories that you'll come up with I haven't heard yet, but I'm looking forward to our Fresno City Toastmaster members hearing some of those cool stories that you alluded to. So
Thank you.
great speech, Perrin.
Thank you. Thanks for being in person.
You got it. Because Sarah can't see you from our camera number 2, because we don't have camera number 2 up. Thank you, Denny. All right, so now I will bring up, after that evaluation, I will bring up Miss Denny Mason, our general evaluator, and she will go with our evaluation team.
Okay. Very good.
Hands are full.
I'm gonna adjust this. Oh, there, see, then I could stand away a little bit. All right, let's go over our evaluations here. We've got our grammarian, Sarah, is going to give us a report. How did we do, Sarah?
Well, super easy. Joey and Karen both got to use the word of the day, and they atoned for all of the things in the past. Just kidding. I don't think that was properly used, but anyway, back to you, Jenny.
I think of atone and I think confession. I go all these.
I think of the song, nothing but for sin atone, nothing but the blood of Jesus.
Thank you for that, Sarah. I think you get extra credit points for that, for singing. And our ahs and ums today, we actually did very well. Corinne, you have one word, which is and it goes from one sentence to the next sentence. It's right in between, and it does get used. It was used a number of times. I'm not sure if it has something to do with the language difference, but it's in there anyway. Sometimes I'll hear someone speak that has a first language that's different than English, and that seems to be in there, and that's what I heard. But fantastic speech. Yeah, I love that. Joey, you had an in your evaluation. Yeah, and that was it. You're always good. Okay, and now we're going to go on to Joey as our timer.
All right, thank you, Jenny. Getting back into the swing of the lives. So for our timer report, I have Corinne. He landed perfectly between that 4 to 6 minutes at 5:12. Very good. I'm sure he had a lot more. And then he said, I'll just wait for the lights to go on and then I'll figure out when I can just end this
And
thing.
that's why I said there is hope after hope.
Yeah, he said he had probably a lot more to talk about. So it's good, a lot more things. And then on our table topics, Corinne came at 102, perfect. Denny, 139. And then I came in at probably a little over.
450.
Boom, a tone.
Oh,
Oh, I thought-
220.
220, but she will
No, no,
220.
you're good.
And then Sarah was 104. And then what was the general or my evaluation?
450.
450. It's supposed to be 330 is disqualification. So you get 2 to 3 with evaluation. You get an extra 30 seconds over that. So 330. So I was a whole minute over. So remember, my atoning when I used the word earlier was about talking too much. So hopefully I atoned for, like, was it Denny was saying for Sarah was saying, atoning for my things. That's my thing for Toastmaster. Thank you.
It's always fun to listen what's going to fill up those 5 minutes, though, Joey. That's the part I like. Very good. We had a great meeting today. We only had a few people, but we're close. We're tight. It's a good meeting. We all know each other. We're comfortable. And we'll look forward to welcoming new people to our meeting when we do our open house or as we go along here. I think we have a lovely location now, and we can all feel very proud and comfortable in this space, which is great. So thank you very much. And I'm going to turn this back over to our Toastmaster, our president.
Thank you, Ms. Denny.
Mhm.
Yep, I agree. So let's start with our rewards. I think everybody gets a clap today because of the Exascale. I kind of broke that to you last minute. It was like a last minute quiz, and you had to put everything together from that sense. And I hats off, hat tip to all of you here today. So everybody gets one, and then of course Corinne for giving this first speech. That's a big one, and everybody kind of picking up multiple roles on this and last minute roles as well. So great work, Fresno City Toastmasters. Let's take a look at the agenda for next week, October 25th. So that theme is Sourest Day. So you can take that any way you like it. That could be a candy type thing, could be a food type thing, could be a experience, sour experience type thing. So I think that would be a good one that would lend multiple different perspectives to it, possibly. Denny's giving me the one brow up this time. She's not together furrowing her brow, but she's got one up like the rock on that one. So anybody want to jump in on that for Toastmaster? And I think is there a rule for, now I don't know, I'm assuming yay or nay on being a Toastmaster, but is there a rule in that one?
We don't have any rules.
We don't have any rule on the Toastmaster.
We don't have
Okay.
any.
So if you wanted to jump in, you don't have to, Corinne, but if you wanted to.
I'll try.
You want to try it? Toastmaster? All right,
I
Corinne.
think the only rules are on evaluation.
So just the evaluator.
Corinne wants to be an explorer and explore the new role of Toastmaster. Way to go, Corinne.
Very much. All right, so Corinne's there. General evaluator or table topics. Now Sarah did that today, table topics. Did
The
you want-
general evaluator.
Sarah, okay. And then Denny, table topics. Okay, Denny,
Do I have to do them on Sourest?
you don't have to.
Thank you.
Like I was telling Corinne earlier, he was saying the same thing about today, Exascale Day. I think you were trying to maybe theme or something. You were trying to work it into his theme, which would work perfect, right? But he was like, do I have to? I said, no, you don't have to. Just spin it. Watch politicians spin it every day. Watch whatever news you want, and you just watch your politicians spin whatever it is. Or being asked a direct question, you want to know the answer to it, and then they spin it another way, and they never answer it. So you got Denny there, and then no speakers. Anybody here want to do another speech? Yay or nay? No. Chanel gave her speech last week. I might do like I'll put one in, maybe. I'll just do like what Chanel did last week and I'll put something a little together, at least to do a speech, but it won't probably go towards my pathway.
Okay.
So I'll do that. And then, so Denny, did you want to do the honors of the eval, or Sarah?
Sure.
Denny? Okay. So I got the Zoom. How about we don't have to fill all these today. I can maybe, Chanel will be good. Maybe I'll put her in. Let's see, put her into maybe I'll counter. She's sick. I'm assuming a week she'll be better. Timer. Did you want to try timer again, or do you want to try word of the day? Word of the day, Corinne. And then timer. Maybe should we do Chanel, both of those? Maybe write her in. Oh, we have Kalani. So I'm going to put Kalani in there.
Right in whoever's not here today.
Yep. All right. So we're good there. So on our agenda, we're good. Last thing, any questions, comments, or criticisms? We are going to finish early. Again, my atoning to going over time. My misgivings on going over time. Any questions, comments, or criticisms from our Fresno City Toastmasters today?
No, good job.
Nope, all good. Great work, everybody. I think we did great here with the 4-man and woman skeleton crew. Great work, everybody. All right, Sarah. Well, we will see you next time. And Corinne did ask when Sarah's going to be here in the flesh, and she almost made it today, she said.
It was close. I haven't gotten used to like getting out of the house again like that, right? In that way. Like, oh,
So one of these days, we're going to see her walk through that door over here. One of these days.
one of these days.
There's no going back.
That's true. But it's just so convenient being here. You just like click in and click out, and you don't have to drive. And that's,
I know. I know. We'll be happy, more than happy to see you here when you do come, Sarah. No pressure.
all right. And then if I bring cookies, then I'll have to leave them in the car, I guess, right?
Awesome. Yeah, just leave your awesome cookies. Yeah, you must come. In US caps.
All right. I'll see you guys.
Have a good rest of your week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.